1079 CDY. This is Cadillac Unscripted. Good morning. We have Deputy Chad Sprik from the Wexford County Sheriff's Department with us this morning. Welcome, Chad.
Good morning.
We wanted to talk, we were saying, people get so excited when the weather warms up to get out on their toys. You know, their jet skis and their side-by-sides and their four-wheelers and their boats. And can you give me your area of expertise? Is this your niche?
Well, I'm currently assigned to the Marine, Snowmobile, and ORV division at the Wexford Sheriff's Office.
Okay, so tell me what that means. You go look at specifically that stuff.
Correct.
Yeah. Are you out on trails and water? Is that?
Yeah, we have several different types of vehicles that I can patrol in, and a couple different boats, ORVs, and Tahoe that I normally patrol in.
Oh my goodness! Really? So okay, so you've got toys of your own.
Yeah, we have a quad runner, a side-by-side. We have a jet-powered riverboat, and we have a larger fiberglass boat that we keep on Lake Cadillac.
No kidding. Okay, so I know it's not for fun because it's actually work for you, but what's your favorite thing to be on?
The river jet boat.
It goes fast?
It goes fast and in very shallow water.
Ooh, cool. Okay, so that would be sometimes maybe even if you had to go find somebody or you're on a chase or something like that.
Yeah, it's mainly patrol, but occasionally rescue or recovery missions.
Oh, boy. Okay. Well, like I said, we all get a little too excited sometimes, and we want to keep everybody safe. And so thank you so much for taking a little bit of time to talk to us about safety and some rules and laws that we need to be aware of. At what age do you need a boating permit?
It depends on the size of the motor on the vessel you're going to operate.
No kidding?
Yep.
See, this is why these interviews are so important.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known that. I thought it would just be a standard age.
Well, if you're under 12 years of age, you can operate a boat powered by a motor no bigger than a 6-horse engine without restrictions.
Okay.
But if you bump it over 6, but no more than 35 horsepower, they have to have their boater safety certificate on board with them and be directly supervised by a person that's at least 16 years old.
Okay.
And if they're under 12, they obviously cannot operate a boat with more than 35 horsepower.
Okay, so is this an issue? Do you see?
No.
Okay, good.
No.
Good.
No, I rarely see single individuals in boats unless they're fishing. Mm-hmm. It's usually families that I see, and that's what I like to see out there.
That's right. You've got adults and that kind of thing.
Right.
Is there a size limit a newly permitted boat driver can drive? How big of a craft? Is it go back to the motor again?
It goes back to the horsepower size.
Okay. Are wave runners under the same rules?
You cannot be under 14 years of age and operate a Sea-Doo.
Okay.
You have to be at least 14. If you're 14 to 15, you can operate a Sea-Doo or personal watercraft, but you have to obtain the boating safety certificate and have a parent or guardian on board that's at least 21 years old.
Okay. So can you talk to me about boater safety? I mean, my kids took it online, and how important is that? And how long does something like that take to complete?
It doesn't take very long, maybe an afternoon. A lot of the classes are online now, especially during the whole COVID thing, so they shut down the in-person learning. But to get your boater safety certificate, you can go to michigan.gov, and you can do it online or seek out in-person teaching. But I think it's a great idea. Everybody knows, even if there's the mainly stuff you don't know anything about, they bring it to your attention. So once you do get out on the water, you realize, hey, I should be doing this or I should be doing that.
And you know what I found? I've never taken any boater safety, and I'm really not good at driving boats. I'm a way better passenger, Chad.
Right.
But when things go sideways on the water, oh my goodness, it happens quickly, doesn't it?
It does, and it's not like something occurring on the road or a highway. You can just stop and you're safe. If you stop on the water and something, who knows? Mm-hmm. You got to deal with the water itself after that.
Right. Rough weather.
Right. Correct.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me about life jackets? Because I think it's important for folks to know how many life jackets they need to have. Do they need to be wearing a life jacket on a wave runner? What are the rules around boating and wave runners and life jackets, please?
Right. Well, the personal watercrafts, each person on that vessel has to be wearing one.
Okay.
And including if they're pulling somebody on a tube, that person also has to be wearing one.
Okay, good. And they'll get pulled over, is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
Those are the most obvious. I don't see a lot of those violations, but occasionally, and I go up there and remind them, and we're just all out there to have a good, safe time. So.
Well, so I need to tell you a story, and then I want to know what you think about this. So, I had some kids at my lake place once that were, and when I spoke to the deputy, hot dogging. See, they were hot dogging around on their jet skis. And when I asked him, because of course I wanted to know, what that meant, and he was like, they're too close to one another on multiple. Can you speak to that?
That's a big concern because the personal watercrafts, they go fast and they go straight, but that gets old.
Mm-hmm. So you can't stop them.
Right. You can't stop them, and they want a little turbulence in the water, so that's why they like to follow other boats and sea-doos because of the wakes and the bumps and the jumps that they create.
Now, okay, I really think that's why
right.
that I got to meet the deputy.
Yeah.
I think it was because of that, yeah, I see what you're saying, the jump in the wake. And,
correct.
Okay.
And that's, if we do have an accident on the water, a lot of times it's from that type of situation. They're just too close because they want to get that wake coming off the other boats.
So, Chad, what is too close specifically? I think folks need to know that.
100 feet. You need to
wow.
keep at least 100 feet from other boats and vessels that are in motion. Mm-hmm. And 150 from docks and other moored boats. So if they got their anchor out there on the sandbar, they're supposed to be 150 feet away. If you're at plane speed. So if you're going fast.
Kidding.
Yep. Because you think about the ripples, they can go and go and go, and we don't want to damage other people's property.
No, and fishermen don't love it when jet skis come around their boats.
Right.
They really don't.
Right.
They're trying to catch fish, and they've got this, little mosquito buzzing around them.
Right.
Yeah.
But a lot of times the fishermen are out there earlier. Once the weather warms up, around lunchtime, after lunchtime, that's when the pleasure boaters and the personal watercraft come out.
Mm-hmm. And so should fishermen, just as a safety precaution, when they're fishing, should they be wearing life jackets?
They have to have one for each person, and depending on the size of their boat, if they have to have a throwable, but they do not have to wear them when they're fishing.
Okay. Yeah,
As long as you got one on there, and if your boat's above, I believe it's 16 foot, then you have to have an additional throwable, just like a seat cushion or a ring, just at quick access in case needed.
Okay. Would you see a boat with a lot of people on it? Is that a I want to check for life jackets type situation?
If I'm headed that way, I will go over there and say hello, introduce myself, and what I like to do is ask if they have enough life jackets, and each person holds one up. I wave to them, and they have a great day, and I do too.
Okay, that's a good way to look at it. But people should know where they are.
Right.
Okay.
You don't want to be an incident and they're unavailable or obstructed by some of the other stuff in your boat.
Right. Let me ask you this, because have you ever seen, well, I know you have, but these boats where there's so many people on the boat that you can't believe that the boat can still... So can you talk to that? What capacity?
Right. In on the boats, there's a label that says how much weight they can hold and how many persons.
Okay. So you're going to want to look, you'll check that.
Right. And that's something that could be a violation, Again, I'd like to just give a friendly reminder to people just to keep an eye on how many people and how much weight, because that adds up really fast, and those boats sometimes just can't handle it.
Right.
Especially pontoons, they get too many in the front, and then the nose plows, and that could be unsafe.
Mm-hmm. And it becomes a raft. Yeah.
Correct.
So do people have to have their registration, of their boat on them, or do you look that up, or is it both, or...
They have to have it on them, so that way, if they're contacted with a deputy on the water or DNR, that they can complete their safety inspection. Because that's all part. That goes along with having the life jackets and having a fire extinguisher if your boat's over 16 feet.
Okay.
And those types of safety equipments.
Okay. Can you tell us the difference between the Sheriff's Department and the DNR in terms of your roles?
We have the same powers as they do, and they have the same powers as we do.
I see.
So if he's on patrol on M115 and wants to make a traffic stop, he can do that.
Okay.
He can write a citation. He handles complaints. They're great people to work with, and we have a really good working relationship. Just as I can go out there and stop somebody and talk to them about fishing. Say they have a few undersized walleye, I could issue a citation for that.
No kidding. Okay.
But mainly I focus on the safety and the people. Make sure they're having a good day.
I'm smiling not because it's I really did get pulled over one time, Chad, and I had just bought a new car and I hadn't put the plates on, and it was a DNR officer. Is that? And I remember thinking, this is the wrong color, this vehicle. I don't know what's going on, but I pulled over, of course,
We wear brown uniforms, they wear green.
Yeah, so. Yeah. He actually helped me put my plates on, so that was really nice. But can we move to side-by-sides? First of all, there's just a skyrocketing, demand. Everybody loves these little toys, these side-by-sides.
Well, it was the same thing years ago with jet skis.
Okay, it's the new fad?
Right, yep.
Okay. Yep. And so we call those ORVs, is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Off-road vehicles or OHVs, off-highway vehicles.
Okay. So. All right. So you'll get on one of yours and you'll go down trails too to make sure that things are safe.
Yep. I have a fully marked side-by-side and a fully marked quad. So.
Okay. Can you tell us some of the dangers? Let's say someone's a new side-by-side owner or thinking about getting a side-by-side. Can they be dangerous? And of course, don't speed in them, right? But can you explain how people should be careful in those?
The main thing is the speed.
Okay.
And the side-by-sides have a factory roll cage, so they don't have to wear a helmet.
Oh.
But they do have to wear their seatbelt.
Okay.
So we've had a few accidents, and the injuries I see is from the people getting ejected or partially ejected because they don't have their seatbelt on, and then just this big bar cage, it rolls over them, and that's where they get their injuries from.
I see, because they don't have to have a helmet on, so
correct.
It would be really bad if you weren't wearing a seatbelt or a helmet.
Right, like your arm gets pinched between the roll cage and the ground or some other body part. So.
Can you tell me percentage-wise? I mean, side-by-side use is up. What would you say, over the last 2 years?
Well, the National Forest, the Huron-Manistee National Forest, just legalized ORV use on their federal property roads this past October. Before that, it had always been illegal.
Okay.
So I'm definitely seeing a lot more. And so far, the ones I've seen have been, most of the people are doing it right.
Okay.
So
would you, I know you said it's not illegal to be on one without a helmet, but would you recommend wearing a helmet on a side-by-side, or isn't it necessary?
Well, if they're on the county roads and then the federal forest roads, the maximum speed limit is only 25.
Okay.
So if they're within that speed limit,
then they
shouldn't need one, but it never hurts. I guess you could if you want. Mm-hmm. It's all personal choice.
I'm old, but are 3-wheelers and 4-wheelers still a thing? Are they still out there?
I haven't seen many around, but I hear you. I grew up on them too. The one law is that you can't be on them on the trails or the roads if you're under 16. You have to be 16 or older, but they haven't made them since 86, 87. So,
Okay, so how do you keep track of all these ages and I mean, there's a lot of this and there's a lot of rules.
Right. Mm-hmm. If I come across a young person, it's usually with a family unit, and mom and dad are keeping an eye on them. I'm okay with that,
right?
Because that helps me know that they're doing it safely. A lot of times I'll just ask them and then remind them. But again, if you go to that Michigan.gov, you can get your ORV certificate. So that way, if you're 12 and under, or 12 years old, then you can ride on the trails and such.
Nice, okay.
But the public roads, you're supposed to be 16 because it's a public road. You're in a motor vehicle. What do you need? A driver's license.
Okay.
So
again, and I see the layers to this. As a parent, let's say you've got, a 14, 15-year-old in there. What advice should parents be? Because, once they leave your field of vision, right. you don't. What advice would you give parents about kids and safety on these toys?
Well, I do have a 15-year-old daughter.
Oh,
and I do have a quad.
Oh, boy.
She doesn't sit on that thing unless she's got a helmet on.
Is that right?
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Good.
And glasses or goggles, because just getting some debris in your face and your eyes could be painful, or a traumatic injury right there. But I just remind them to keep an eye on their speed and don't draw attention to yourself. Just do the speed limit and don't tear things up, because that's when I get called. People get upset, and there's people doing donuts in the road. that's not good.
Uh-huh.
So
It's about being respectful, isn't it?
exactly. Yep, that's all it is. You know, you just say hi and wave to the people instead of blowing by their house at 60 miles an hour. You know, it's not going to end well. So.
Oh boy, I bet the rules can be strict at your house because you see it all. You know,
it can be, but I learn a lot from them and teach them. So
yeah,
it goes both ways.
That's right. We talk more about water safety and swimming and things like that. Is there any other recommendations you have about, you know, how far people should stay away from swimmers on shore? And I mean, do we get back to the 150 yards type thing again, or is feet? So 150 feet. Okay.
It's that's not a huge problem, but people often misjudge the distance, so they call me out there. You know, this guy was 30 feet. I go out there with a laser rangefinder, you know, and they're 100 yards. It's a little bit. I'm not calling the people liars. I'm just, there's discrepancies on that. But I go out there and investigate, you know, and try to talk to the people. But my biggest thing is, as long as they're wearing life jackets, the kids especially, because if 6 and under, they have to wear one if the boat's under power, if it's moving.
Okay.
You know, the other ones, they just have to have them on there as long as mom and dad's there, grandma and grandpa.
And Michigan.gov is where people need to know this before they bring people out on their boat, some of these rules.
Right. You can go there and get your certificates. You can also go there and print off the ORV handbook and the Marine Safety Handbook. That gives you the laws written pretty easily to understand out of there.
I mean, I think boat owners really should look at the website, especially before we get into these busy holidays. You know, my joke is you become really popular around the 4th of July if you have a lake place, right?
Right.
You know, that's what everything.
Sure do.
What's your advice in terms of being out on the water, when to come in, that kind of thing at nighttime? Because I know people get excited about fireworks and stuff like that, but what's the law?
As soon as dusk hits, you're supposed to turn on your anchoring, your mooring lights, your safety lights, the white light in the front and the red and green in the back. But yeah, it's just a safety issue, and slow down at dark. Don't be running across wide open. I'm always out there on the 4th of July when they have the fireworks, and there are hundreds of boats out there.
I know it.
And for the most part, everybody I see has their lights on, and then they're just putting back to their docks or to the launches. So far, we haven't had an issue.
Knocking.
So,
okay. We're knocking.
and we hope to keep it that way. You know, like again, though, we do get help from the DNR. They're out there, and then a lot of times the Cadillac Fire Department, they keep a boat on Lake Cadillac also, and they assist out there because we have to keep people so many feet away from where they launch the fireworks.
Oh, sure.
So
or you're keeping people out of that radius.
The safety zone, yep.
Okay. What about water skiing? Let's talk about that. You've got a skier behind your boat. There's other boats around. I get nervous when skiers get too close.
Right. As far as personal flotation devices, the skier has to wear one. If the vessel pulling the skier, they have to have room for that person on the vessel. So if it's a boat, they have to have an extra seat for that person.
I see.
And they have to have the one person's driving and operating the boat. There's another person spotting, watching the back.
And that is law. You have
Correct,
to have a spotter.
Correct. And the same thing if they're on a 3-person personal watercraft. You got the operator looking forward, you got the person looking back, and then you have an empty third seat for the person that you're actually pulling.
Okay.
So if something happens, then they have a way to get on there and get a ride back to shore.
Okay, so on a 3-person watercraft, you can't have 3 people and a skier.
Correct.
Because if the skier dumps, then where does the skier go?
And that has a lot to do why they used to be 2-seaters. Now they're 3-seaters just for that reason. Mm-hmm. You know, because they can sell more if people can use them more.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is fine, as long as they're having fun.
Okay, good. Can you tell me about the popularity of jet skis? Have you seen that wane a little bit, or is that still...
I think it's plateaued.
Okay.
Like I said, years ago, when they first came out, they're like the side-by-sides are now. Everybody's got one. Everybody's got 3 of them, you know, and it's good family fun if that's what they're into.
Right.
As long as you follow the rules, I'm just going to wave and smile at you.
You're not hard to get along with, Chad.
No, I'm not.
So folks that live on the lake, I've heard complaints about jet skis and how loud they are. And I'm sure you get some phone calls about things like this. What would you tell jet skiers, about being respectful of property owners?
And that's when I do speak to them and I ask them to do that. I'm like, just keep your distance, don't get out there too early. Don't stay out too late. Don't get too close. And I don't know if you noticed, but when the jet skis, they hit the jumps and they come out of the water, they get a little louder. That's because the exhaust comes through there. And so, I just ask them to tone her down a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And so when jet skiers are out with one another, how far away should they be from each other? Are we in that 100 feet?
100 feet,
Is that
if
right?
They're both under power. So.
Chad, there's a lot of people that
I know. It keeps me busy. And
oh, boy. Does it start, and I know it's not the same every time, but does it start your conversation with citizens start with, okay, let me tell you what the rules are? Or does it depend on each?
It just depends on each incident. We go out there and see what we got and take care of it the best we can.
Mm-hmm. The phone calls that you get, are those primarily from other people that are out on the water, or are those from people that are on land or lakefront owners?
I get some. I had a call from a property owner the other day about the boundaries, because him and his neighbor were having a dock issue.
Oh boy!
So the riparian rights.
Yeah.
Made a quick call to our prosecutor's office, and he helped me out with that one. And the riparian rights, there's a centermost dot in the lake, and then everybody's property lines goes to it like a 10 gazillion piece pizza.
Is that right?
Yep. And then that lines is considered like a property line issue if you own 20 acres out in Boone. So, and those are civil matters. They're not criminal. There's not much we can do with them. We can assist in the situation, but as far as enforcing, it's very limited. Mm-hmm. And then I know there's some sandbars, and some of the people like to get a little close to the shore. And it's just those people, I just ask them would you like to have somebody that close to your place? So
right.
Give them their distance.
And maybe they're having, a relaxing dinner, and maybe the other people out on the water are in full party mode or something like that. And
that happens. And I don't see that a ton. I see more families out there enjoying themselves than anything, and that's what I like to see.
Mm-hmm. So. Right. Well, I'm happy to know that about the noise factor, and that it's sort of case by case, and you're asking people, to be respectful. What's your biggest challenge in policing all of this?
As far as land and water?
Yes.
Right now, it's going to be the ORV speed limit.
Is that right?
Just keeping everybody slow, because they go too fast and they tear things up. And then, because this is the first actual season that the National Forest allowed this, if they get a lot of feedback where there's damage happening to their properties from these ORVs,
guess what?
There's a chance they're going to shut it back down. So
it's a privilege.
It is. It is, exactly. Yep.
Oh my goodness.
And I get it. You got this high performance 4-wheel drive Baja type vehicle and you're stuck going 25 miles an hour. I get it, but you just can't do that out there. There's trail systems. We have one in the north part of the county. Lake County has several, and there's a bunch around here, but the National Forest is just not one of them. It's a roads. It's not a trail system. It's a road system that the National Forest allows the ORV operators to use.
Mm-hmm. I think we are seeing more tourism in northern Michigan because of ORVs and because of this new freedom.
Right. And like I said, historically, Lake County has always been busier because they do have the state trails, and we get some of their overflow up here when they were riding where they weren't supposed to be. And I would remind those people to please not do that. But now with them open like that, we're starting to, it opened the floodgates, and everybody thinks it's free for all. So I'll be out there explaining to a few people this summer.
Oh, that's what we are going to be explaining. I like the smile and the wave better. I don't want to be getting any explaining, so I'm going to behave. How many people can fit in an ORV?
As far as I know, they do make 4-seaters and possibly 6 if they have 2 bench seats. Mm-hmm. As long as everybody's inside and they have their seatbelt on, they're good to go. So.
Okay. In terms of reckless driving, or where should their blood alcohol limits stay under on jet skis and ORVs? Is it the same as driving a car?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's all 0.08% blood alcohol content. Mm-hmm. And you get the same sanctions if you get caught driving on a car on 115 here. Mm-hmm. You're going to lose your license. You're going to pay a lot of fines. You're going to go to jail. Mm-hmm. If you hurt somebody, you're going to be to go to jail longer. Mm-hmm. Fines are going to be bigger. So yeah, it's just, there's too much going on. Just moderate yourself.
And slow down.
Exactly. 25 miles an hour, I can do that all day long.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I wonder why the speeds can go that fast. Is it because when they're on their private property, they can do whatever they want?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's a big adjustment for someone if they're used to ripping all over the place,
right.
Isn't it?
In like the Lake County trails, the big O and little O and like that, they don't have the 25 mile an hour speed limit. It's just if they have the county road access, they legalized that a few years ago, 25 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. Federal forest roads, 25 miles an hour. But the trail systems, it's just long as you're operating in a safe and non-reckless manner. Mm-hmm. So it's good as you, how confident as you feel operating that motor vehicle.
Okay. Let's talk about public boat launches, because that can be just a goat rodeo when you pull up and there's all these boats.
Can also be very entertaining.
Well, let me tell you one thing you're never going to see, Chad. That would be me trying to put a boat in the lake. I promise you. I'll be making the picnic lunch. That won't be my job. But can you talk about boat launches and how this whole thing works and what the protocol is? I mean, because things get really backed up, and there's not a quarterback there with a whistle. Can you speak to that?
There can be. My experience, everybody gets along pretty good. Once in a while, somebody gets a little heated, but just tell them to take a breath. But, just if you can, pull off to the side, get your boat ready, and then as soon as there's an opening, pull in there, launch it, and then get out there as soon as you can. So that way, if there's another boat coming off the water, leaves them an open stall to back into, and they can either launch or retrieve their boats.
Okay, so I want to go back to what you just said to make sure that I understand. When you say get your boat ready, that means when you take your position at the launch, it's not time to start.
Right. Don't pull up to the dock and then undo your tie downs and lift your motor and do this and do that. Pull off to the side where the vehicles can still get to the dock. Take care of your straps and all that. And then once your motor's up and you're ready to go, then back in.
Okay.
Just that way you can just drop and go.
And I think you're right. I think people get frustrated with having to wait, or folks that aren't prepared, or maybe they didn't say to the kids, okay, everybody sit down. We're getting ready to do the other people are waiting.
Everybody's on vacation, but everybody's in a hurry. So I want to get out there.
Do you ever want to say that to people? You're on vacation. Why are you in such a hurry?
I might have occasionally.
Well, I don't blame you. What's your favorite part about your job?
Oh, it's just, I love hitting all the back roads and seeing the wilderness and meeting the people, just doing different activities out in the woods. And it's amazing what you'll see people and what they're doing. It's just nice to get out of the office.
Oh, absolutely. So. And I think knowing that no one wants to get into trouble, and, no one wants to get a ticket, but we do feel safer, Chad, knowing that you're out there, not just on the roads, but in the woods and on the water too. Right. Keeps it safe for everybody.
I love doing it, so.
Good. Well, everybody, this has been Chad Sprik, and he is a deputy with the Wexford County Sheriff's Department. And tell me again your title specific to these two things.
I'm the road deputy, but my current assignment is the Marine and the ORV and the Snowmobile division.
Oh, boy.
So, I call it the Snow RV division.
The snow... So we didn't touch much on snowmobiles because that season is over, and we were all so ready for it to be over. But of the three categories, ORV, snowmobile, and water, where do you end up issuing the most citations?
It's probably a three-way tie.
Okay.
I don't issue a ton of citations. I like to educate people more than I like to enforce them.
Okay.
Because sometimes they honestly just don't know.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us. I think we learned a lot today, and I think the number one thing we learned is what we don't know about the rules, and the law. So we need to get on to michigan.gov, and then where's our websites here? What do we get into once we get in there?
I just Googled Boater's Safety Certificate in Michigan. It brought me right to the michigan.gov page with the boaters.
Okay.
Same with the ORV.
Okay.
We'll bring you right to it. That's also Michigan.gov is where you can get your trail maps and what roads are open and not open to ORVs.
Okay, and then we want to remind everybody when we get into National Forest on the ORVs, we want to stay at 25 miles an hour.
Correct.
And we don't want to tear up the forest or we're going to lose the privilege.
Right.
Okay. Chad Sprik, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for keeping us safe.
Thank you.
This has been Cadillac Unscripted, 107.9 CDY, and sponsored by Independent Bank.